Hi everybody, Jane here. Thank you for watching my video today. I thought that I would take you on a little trip to our local-ish craft slash art slash home store that we have on the Isle of Wight where I live. Now we don't have hardly any art and craft stores here anymore. This is a chain of stores that is in the UK and Ireland, I do believe. And it is sort of like the main place we have now left that sells art and craft. So I thought I'd take you on a little tour around when I was looking for some acrylic paints. Now, I apologise if the camera work is a bit shoddy and a bit hit and miss. I was trying to avoid getting anybody else in my filming, and I was trying to be quite subtle. So I'm just sort of giving you a look at the sorts of things in the art and craft department. It's quite a big store. It has a gardening department. It has a pet department, as in pet products, not pets. It has a lot of homeware, but it also has a reasonably big art and craft department. So we do try to go as often as we can because I do like going and physically seeing things. And I did want to actually physically see the acrylic paints. Now, I wasn't sure what I wanted. They have quite a range from their own sort of brand to this is the Winsor and Newton section. So they have the professional Winsor and Newton, and then they have the Galleria Winsor and Newton, which are like the student range of Winsor and Newton acrylics. And I was debating what level of acrylics that I wanted to buy. So I was having a really good look around and comparing the prices for the amount you got. Then you go, if the little sort of real craft paints in that stand to the left there. But I was having a little look at the Poscas. So I do love to look at the Poscas. I do feel that some of the ranges that they have in the range have seemed to be being gradually sold off to bring in more of their own brand. So there is a lot now that is the store's own brand of products. So not so much of those brands that you might know. So for example, the ones over here on the left, they are all the store's own brand of acrylic paints, acrylic inks, acrylic mediums. But then they do sell still the Winsor & Newtons. They do sell De La Rowney graduate acrylics. They did used to sell some of the Liquitex basics, but I haven't seen that in there for a while, so I don't know whether that's another brand that maybe they're not selling as much. So I'm just sort of giving you a little look at some of the other bits and bobs. They do also do a bit of a watercolour range as well in the store, showing you some of the paper. They've had a little bit of a refresh recently where they've actually started grouping things, my kind of thing, into so that all the acrylic products together or the watercolor products together. Before they used to sort of just have all the papers together, all the paints together. I think this is a better way because obviously if you're looking at the acrylic paint, you might then want acrylic medium, you might then want acrylic paper, and it's all in one area, which makes it, I think, if you're new to it as well, it makes it a bit easier to see. Now this is another one of my favourite bits. It's the Winsor & Newton inks. I do love the inks, and I was having a little look thinking, oh, could I justify getting another colour? And something they've had recently is these Phoenix watercolours. Now, I keep looking at this set of 24 thinking, do I want to try them out? They're only £16.99, which is, pretty reasonable, but I'm not sure. I haven't sort of taken the leap. They've got little tins as well of different sorts of 12 half pounds as well. So they are an interesting, if you see them at some point, you'll know where I got them. And this is sort of just a final little look down some of the more craft storage related areas. It's a very much a mix of art and craft. So what did I choose in the end? I went with the own brand acrylic that was a bit cheaper for more. The reason I went for this in the end was because I wanted to get quite a range of colours. So I wanted to get the most I could for my money. So these were all £1.99 per tube. So it's roughly about £20, which was what I wanted to spend. And I wanted to just try these out. It's interesting to try out own brands sometimes. Acrylic paint I'm not so fussy about, I would say. I don't use it as proper acrylic paintings. Well, I don't use my watercolours as proper watercolour paintings either, but I just feel with watercolour there is a bigger difference. I don't know. I've never really used professional artist level acrylics, so I've always sort of used student grade. Although they sound them professional, but I think wording on paints is always interesting. But I've gone for ivory, yellow ochre, magenta, mauve, cobalt blue, Prussian blue, dark aquamarine, olive green light, army green and carbon black. There were some colours that weren't available. I did realise afterwards that I had forgotten that I did want to get a warm red. But then I figured I could possibly mix the yellow ochre and the magenta to get a warmer red, possibly. So that's not so much of an issue. I don't think there was only really vermilion there, which I always feel is more of like heading towards a brown tone. So I wasn't really keen on getting that one. So I'm quite happy. If I like the paint, then I can always go back and get some more because, like I say, they're not very expensive. But what I thought I would do, just to finish off this video, I'm not going to make a project with these today. I am just going to do some swatching. So I have drawn myself out a very rough, got a bit blotchy there, a very rough swatch chart with the 10 colours, a black line, just to see how opaque they are, because that is an interesting thing. The main things I'm interested in are how thick, how heavy bodied they are, whether they are like more of a softer or a medium or heavy. I suspect they're probably sort of a medium-y type of texture, which is also what I want, because I want to do techniques with them and play around with them, and to see how opaque or transparent they are, and just to have a little look at the colours really. So I'm going to get that done. What they did have inside, they all did have a little foil seal over them, which I've took off of everyone because I didn't really want to be going through that now, but I haven't squeezed them out at all. So I'm going to put them to the side, both sides. Let's go both sides. So I've done 5 on the top, 5 on the bottom, so we'll put them in roughly that order. Let me just see. Yep, and we will start and go through one at a time. I've got my water so I can do my brush. I've got my cloth to dry my brush off on. Let me see. Let's go with this one. That's going to be a nice light. So what I want to just do is just do a little blob to see. Yeah, they're sort of quite a softish. Oh, it's got quite a lot of paint there, isn't it? Softest, mediumish sort of paint. Ooh. Let's give it a good. Want a nice good swatch. See if we can make it a bit, maybe. Yeah. So sort of semi-transparent, semi-opaque. Quite a nice consistency though. I do quite like that. I feel that I could. It's thick enough. I think you could still get some nice like scraping movements and things around with it. So this is the yellow ochre. I wanted a warmer, earthy sort of yellow. Let's not put too much out because we don't want loads. So it's holding a peak there, so you know it's not runny, it's not fluid, which is what I didn't want. I wanted something. I've got a lot of fluid acrylics and I wanted something a little bit more sort of with a bit of body to it. That didn't have. I'm not watering these out, I'm just trying to get the colour. That didn't have enough colour. I just want the colour. I don't want to see them watered out, because I know that you can water acrylic paint out. They come out the tube nice, as in like they don't fly out the tube. I think, yeah, see that one looks a bit more opaque. I think before I was really going over it. So that's your yellow ochre. It's a nice colour like that. Right, give it a good dry. What's one's next? Magenta, one of my favourites. Oops, clean that up. And I will be using these for a project soon, I would have thought. So what I mean is, look, it doesn't fly, it's not sliding out. You have to actually squeeze it. It's got a nice bit of body to it. It's got a nice bit of peak to it, which I do like. I think I've already said that, but I'll say it again. Magenta tends to be, I think, a little bit more transparent. I should have put, but I've gone from, like, with the first one going mad with the amount I put out to not a lot. I'm trying not to put too much out. Yeah, I don't want, and when I'm not pressing the tube, it does go back in, which is quite good. Yeah, I think they would be a little bit more opaque if you put a bit more down. So that's okay. I'm not worried. Sometimes I quite like them to have a little bit of transparency. And even your acrylics do vary, you know, in the amount of opaqueness or transparency. A lot of my fluid ones are very transparent. Let's give that a really good dry. What one's next? Mauve. They had like a deeper purple, more royal purple, as you would probably call it, and they had a more of a lilac-y colour, I do believe. But this is the sort of purple that I actually prefer. That one's a little bit runnier, I think. But again, it's really holding it. I don't know now, because I'm washing my brush, whether I'm getting some water in amongst these. Oh, that's lovely. I love that purple. That's sort of purple I like. Even sometimes a little bit more on the sort of reddish purple, more of a plum I do like as well. So I think if you mixed some of that magenta in with that mauve, you probably would get a really nice sort of seedless preserves plum sort of purple. Right, and cobalt blue. I don't tend to have brighter blues. Now, the acrylic paints I've already got that are more heavy bodied are all quite bright, and that's why with these ones, although I've got some that are like on the brighter side, I wanted some sort of more muted. That's a lot more transparent, I think. That one. Let's try and get it a little bit thicker at the top, maybe. Probably if you did another coat over that, then that would obviously make it more opaque. Nice dirty water. Right, we're on to the other side. Prussian blue. Ooh, if they'd have had an indigo in this range, I would have got indigo. I think they had indigo in the De La Rowney student ones. What I was hoping that there would have been in there was some Liquitex Basics, but they don't have them. I think some stores do, but obviously our store doesn't. Whoa, that's very dark. That's lovely. Actually, that's. I don't need an indigo with that one. I don't think that's sort of like. I'm going to guess if you start bringing it out a bit, you'd see more of the blue. That's very, very dark blue. That one. That's nice. I like that because sometimes if you don't want to use a black, but you want a really dark colour in there, you know, something like a really dark blue, or you know, a very dark brown or a grey is a nice alternative. But blue is often a nice alternative, the very dark blue. Right, now this one I couldn't resist. Dark aquamarine. You know, I love my tealy colours with teals and turquoise, and this is probably more on the green side, to be fair, but I couldn't resist it. I thought, oh, that was just a bit nice. I went for quite a lot of greens this time, actually. Oh, look at that. Yum. Lovely colour. See, I'm not sure if that's opaque or if that's just very dark. So far, none of them are totally opaque. Some are more transparent than others, but as they are an inexpensive acrylic, I wouldn't expect for them to be, you know, super duper opaque or anything. They're nice consistency. I'm liking them. Obviously, until you start properly trying something out in your work, you're not going to know. But like I say, these are for me to play around with. These are only going to be in sketchbooks as well, I would say. There's no information. Let me just check. It just says a highly pigmented acrylic formulated to provide strong and vibrant colours with a smooth, free-flowing consistency. I mean, it says acrylic colour professional, but there's no pigment information. There's no light fast information. So, you know, I would probably be treating them. Oh, that one's a lot more opaque. I would be treating them as more of a student grade play around with paint. Not, ooh, what a mess. But that one is a lot more opaque than the others, which would suggest there's probably white in it. But that's fine. Because, I mean, it's olive green light, so, you know, chances are to get it more pastel-y looking. Probably has got white in it. Got a nice wet cloth there. Army green. They didn't have, I don't know why I'm doing that. I've been doing it like that the whole time. They didn't have a massive load of greens. This is not really a green I probably would have gone for, but I was wanting a darker green, so actually now I've seen it, I really rather like it. This is just shows you, see that, I think that's a nicer green in reality than is on here. I think if you added a bit of water to that, I think that would probably water out quite nicely as well. A bit more brighter. And then finally, I got black. The reason I got black is because often I like to do contrast in my work, because I do art journaling and abstracts. I like to get contrast with black and white. They didn't have a white actually, but I have already got a white acrylic from Hobbycraft, which is a bigger tube. I do have some black from Dina Wakley, but it's only a little tiny pot, and it's already had quite a bit of use, so that's why I wanted to get a big black, because when you're adding stenciling to maybe be a bit contrasting, it's a, you know, a nice one to have. Sometimes I use my black gesso, but if you want a, you know, a paint, then for me I like to use black. So, and that is covering up the black line, but it might be just because it's black. So there we go. Those are the paints and the colours that I chose in the end. I hope you enjoyed having a little look around the store with me. It's very stressful videoing in a store. I'm hoping to do a bit more videoing out and about through the summer. I've just got to get over worrying about other people seeing what I'm doing and thinking, what is that crazy woman doing filming in our shop? So I hope it was enjoyable. If you did enjoy it, do please give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't already subscribed, if you could subscribe, that would be fabulous. And I will be getting these paints and doing something probably quite abstract, or in my art journal maybe with some fabulous bright collage, because I like using acrylics with my more funky collages. So hopefully you will watch one of those in the future, and until the next time, bye bye.